Okay, so yeah, so today is the final lecture of the section on random variables. Okay, um, so I think you already had a problem solving session, yeah, on random variables yesterday. Aditya went over it. So today we will do one more important thing, which is linearity of expectation, and we will solve one or two problems. Okay, and that will be today's lecture. And after this, there will be a deep quiz on Thursday. Yeah, so tomorrow again you will have a problem solving session, and Thursday, yeah, morning there is lecture, but Thursday evening to Friday morning there is going to be a deep quiz which is released. Yeah? And unlike previous sessions, it will be a timed exam. So timed exam means that you can start the exam anytime. You can start the exam anytime between like 5 p.m. in the evening to 9 a.m. in the next morning. But once you start the exam, you have to finish the exam within 90 minutes. Okay. So make sure, yeah, your connection and everything before you start the exam, because after you start the exam, it's only 90 minutes. Okay. So that regarding deep quiz, any questions? You can hear me, right? Could you just message in the chat?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Great. Okay, so let's get started with today's lecture. Yeah. Okay. So what did we do last time? Yeah. So we looked at the situation when you have multiple random variables, right? So when you have multiple random variables, we saw that there are various probability distributions involved. Right? There are various different types of probability distribution involved. Let's say for you have two random variables, you have the probability mass function of x, the probability mass function of y, the joint distribution of xy, the conditional distribution of x given y, and the conditional distribution of y given x. Yeah. Now you can imagine if you have three random variables, how many distribution it will be there. And how many distribution do you think it will be there if you have three, random variables? Any guesses? Yeah, just suppose you have three random variables x, y, z. So how many such distributions will be there in total? Oh. Nobody wants to give a try. So there is there is px, py, pz. Yeah, and then okay, they can have pxy, pyc, pzx. Yeah. Uh, Now there will be for every pair there will be two of these. Yeah. So there will be 3 choose 2 into 2. This plus, so this is 3 plus, so this is 3 plus 3. So this 3 is there, this 3 is there, and then the conditional distributions are there, that is 3 choose 2 into 2. Then it's the joint distribution of x, y, z. And that is one. Is that all? Can you find more distributions? Is that all? So how much is this? So this is 6 plus 3 choose 2 is 3 into 2 is 6. This plus 1 is 7. Sorry, 13 already. So it's already more than 12. But I'm saying there are more distributions.
X given y and z.
Yeah, so you can condition on two random variables, and then you get x given y comma c. Yeah, but then you can also condition on one random variable and do the joint distribution of the other. Yeah, and in various problems, in various contexts, all these distributions will be there. And from the problem, you need to understand, okay, what are the random variables? Which is the distribution the problem is talking about? And yeah, the base rule formulas will give a whole range of formulas connecting all these distributions. There's actually a large number of distributions. I can't even, it's very difficult to even count. Yeah, so yeah, so there are these distributions. I can do it for any three variables also. So yeah, it's very complicated situation. Okay. So we saw joint PMF. We also saw conditional distributions. We didn't see independence of random variables, but you can imagine. Okay, but you say that x and y are independent if p of x given y is nothing but p of x. Yeah, so p of x given y doesn't depend upon y. So yeah. So another way of writing independence is px comma y of xy is equal to px of x times px of py of y. Yes, this is just saying that probability at x equal to x intersection y equal to y is equal to probability of x equal to x into probability of y equal to y. Same old definition of intersection, nothing new here. Okay, so this is independence. Yeah. Okay, so that is independence. Yeah. So yeah, we did. Yeah. So yeah. So this was this. This was the joint distribution. This was the conditional distribution. We also saw the relationship between this distribution. If you take the joint distribution and sum up over one variable, you will get the marginal over the other variable. Yeah, and yeah, there was this base rule formulas that you have, which connects all these distributions together. Okay. So yeah, we also discussed the balls and bins problem. I hope you had a look at it and solved all the cases. Okay, so it was also part of the quiz, I guess. Okay, let's move on. If there is any question, please let me know. Yeah, so this is independent random variables. Yeah, so suppose you have three random variables. If you apply base rule, so base rule you can chain, right? You can first look at the probability of x, then you look at the probability of y given x, and then you look at the probability of z given x and y. So what is this? So everybody knows how this formula is coming. Is there anybody who doesn't know why this formula is coming? Yeah, this is the same base rule that we learned in the first 5 lectures. Yeah. So probability of A intersection B intersection C is equal to probability of A into probability of B given A into probability of C given B intersection A. This same formula in terms of random variables is this formula. Okay. Yeah. So if you understand the first 5 lectures, even random variables should be very clear. That's why we spend more time in the first 5 lectures to get the basics right. And this random variable is only an extension of that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So you are given a distribution like this. Okay. So I think these entries are 0, I guess, because yeah. So one, this is 5, 5 and 8, 9. It is 14. 14 plus 5 is 19. Yeah. So these entries are 0. Yeah. So are these two random variables independent? How do you verify that two random variables are independent? How do you, are these two random variables independent?
So I think when the for if you are saying that p of x by y, if the probability is changing with the value of y, in that case, it is not independent. But if the value of y is changing, but the probability of x is not changing, then I think it is independent.
Yeah. So to prove independence, yeah, remember you need to show this for all xy. For every pair of xy, you need to show that this is like this. Okay. But to show that things are not independent, we just need to find one xy. Okay. To show not independent, you just need to tell me one x and one y where this is not true. Now, could you tell me one x and one y where that is not true?
Yes, sir.
Which x and which y?
So when x equal 1 and y equal 1, with
Okay.
value is 0, but when x is equals to 1 and y is equals to 3, then probability is 2 by 20.
Sorry, you are saying x equal to 1 and y equal to 1. Yeah, the px of pxy of x comma y equal to 0. That I
Yes,
agree.
sir.
And what, now what are you saying?
When x equal 1 and y equal 3.
Why are we going there now? Sorry. So we have to show that this is not equal to probability of x of 1 into probability of y. This is what we have to show, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And what is probability of x equal to 1? So x equal to 1 is you just sum this up together along the
Okay.
y. So that is 3 by 20. This is 3 by 20. What is probability of y equal to 1? So you sum this up together. That is 1 by 20. So definitely 0 is not equal to 3 by 20 into 1 by 20.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So we just need to show it for one xy. You look at the table and figure out the xy. And the most interesting xy is the thing that becomes 0. Yeah. It makes sense? Okay. Yeah. Now,
Can you zoom in a bit? Means the size is too smaller.
so you better make your full screen. So in the Teams, in the dot 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 button, you can make your things full screen. Yeah. So I can zoom in. Of course, I can zoom in. But yeah, if you're not in full screen in Teams, you should make it that way.
Okay, sir. Yeah, yeah. I have made it, sir. Right.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So what if we condition on x is less than or equal to 2 and y is greater than or equal to 3? Okay. So x is less than or equal to 2. So that means only these two rows. Yeah. And y is greater than or equal to 3. That means only these two rows. Yeah. So yeah, if we condition on that, so let's say A is the event that x is less than or equal to 2 and y is greater than or equal to 3. Yeah. So now x can only take values 1 and 2. Yeah. So now your table becomes like this. Your table becomes, so x is only taking 1 and 2 and y is only taking 3 and 4. Yeah. So could you tell me the joint distribution of p of x comma y conditioned on A? Could you tell me what is this number? Is the question clear? Yeah. So you are looking at the event where x is less than or equal to 2 and y is greater than or equal to 3. Yeah, so that event is clear what that means.
Yes.
You're only looking at the cases where x is less than or equal to and y is greater or equal to 3. And you are looking at the joint distribution conditioned on that event. Yeah. So if you condition on A, what is the probability of x equal to 3?
It's 0.
It is 0 because that particular event is outside this, it is not inside this, right? So it is 0. So we only need to look at these four table entries and we need to fill those entries. Yeah. So what is the joint distribution of xy conditioned on A? Yeah. So we already agreed that x can only take the value 1 and 2. Y can only take the value 3 and 4. Everywhere else the probability is 0. So we need to fill out these four entries. So could you tell me those four entries?
So 2 by 20.
So here I had to write 2 by 20.
Yes.
Sir, 2 by 9.
Here is 2 by 20. So just I wanted to make. So I just need to copy these four entries here.
Yes.
No, sir, but
Then does it sum up to 1?
the sum of the probabilities should be 1.
If you are conditioning, even if you are conditioning on something, the joint distribution has to sum up to 1. Yeah. So what is the probability of x comma y given A? What is the formula for it? What do you think the formula is? What do you think the formula is? Yeah, you can go back to your first principles. Yeah. So this is nothing but the probability of x equal to x and y equal to y and A happening divided by probability of A. This is the formula we learned in the second or third lecture, right? Right. And what is probability of A?
9 by 20.
So that is A is these four regions. So if we just sum up, it is 8 plus 1, 9. 9 by 20. Yeah. So we just need to take these entries and divide by 9 by 20. That's it. Yeah. So 1 by 20 divided by 9 by 20 is 1 by 9. 2 by 20 divided by 9 by 20 is 2 by 9. Again 2 by 9. And this is 4 by 9. If you sum everything up, it becomes 1. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I didn't understand you.
Okay, where did I get lost?
Sir, when we are putting values, so on the right hand side, when you wrote this formula, after
Yes.
that I got lost completely.
Okay. So what do you mean by probability of x comma y given A? What do you mean by that? Yeah. The definition of that is probability that x equal to x and y equal to y and A also happens. You agree? Sorry. I think I confused a bit. Let me just rewrite it again. So probability of yeah. So the
Yes, sir, I agree with you.
yeah, okay. So this is nothing but a probability of x equal to x and y equal to y equal to small y given A. Yeah. And by this conditional probability rule, we know that this is probability of x equal to x and y equal to y and a, and meaning intersection, okay, and always means intersection, divided by probability of a. Yeah, and probability of a we computed to be 9 by 10. If you just sum up the entries in that for these, that is probability of a. So we are just dividing those entries by 9 by 10. Sorry, 9 by 20. Okay, and we got the answers. Okay.
Sir, yeah, how did we get 9 by 20?
So if you just add these four, so this is the event A, no? The event A is when x is less than or equal to 2 and y is greater or equal to 3. So only these four entries satisfy that. You agree? Is that fine?
Sir, on my system, the screen has been stuck. It's not moving. Yeah, now I can see the table. 1 second.
Yeah. So x is less than or equal to 2, that is x can be only 1 and 2. Y is greater or equal to 3, that means y can be only 3 and 4. So only these four entries are relevant to us.
Okay, fine, sir. Yes.
So probability of A is you just add up all those entries. Yeah, and normalize those four entries with it. That's it.
Got it, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Okay,
why
so
have you written y is equal to small y and because it is written given a, so why it will be and on the numerator?
sorry, where is the problem?
So in the numerator you have written capital Y is equal to small y and capital A. Why this and is here?
So what is the definition of px comma y? X comma y. This is the probability of x equal to x and y equal to y.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, or if you prefer intersection, instead of and, you can write intersection. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So there is a set of events in the sample space which satisfies this, set of events in the sample space which satisfies this, and then you do the intersection. Okay. So going forward, many of the problems, they will not tell you the sample space even actually. They will just say, okay, this is the joint distribution, or this random variable is binomially distributed. Okay, so they won't even tell you the sample space. And we will start talking only in high level in terms of this random variable set. Yeah. So in probability, this sample space language is kind of the assembly language. Okay. And but if you look at practical problems, they don't talk in terms of sample space. They actually talk in terms of random variables and distributions. Okay. So in the problems that we can go ahead with, you won't be that much looking at the sample space and doing things. You will be looking at the random variables. What is the distribution and how to combine and decompose random variables to get new random variables. Okay. We'll see a lot of examples. Okay, let's move on. Yeah. So in today's lecture, one important thing I want to cover is what is called the linearity of expectation. So we already did these things. Yeah. We already saw this and we already saw a single random variable what happens. Now the interesting thing about expectation is if you take the expected value of x plus y. So x plus y is another random variable c. Everybody agrees? Yeah. What is the expected value of x plus y? How do you compute the expected value of x plus y? What is the formula?
So ex plus ey.
How did you get that? I don't know how you got that. Why is it ex plus ey? There should be some reason why it is ex plus ey. No, I mean it cannot be simply be ex plus ey. Why it is? So is the variance of x plus y equal to variance of x plus variance of y? Is that true? Is this true?
summation of P.
No, not true.
So you should tell me a reason why this is true. I mean, yeah. So Devesh has an idea. So Devesh want to talk?
So summation of x plus y into probability of x plus y.
Yeah. So summation over x, summation over y, x plus y times px comma y of x comma y. This is the definition of expectation, right? This is the definition of expectation that we learned last lecture, two lectures back. Yeah, it is the value of that random variable times the probability of that random variable taking that value. This is the value of the random variable at x equal to x and y equal to y times the probability of that value happening. This is the expectation. Now what should I do? Now what should I do?
Separate.
So separate.
So yeah, I'm sure you are experts at all this. Now what should I do? Yeah. So this x I can take common and then write summation over y pxy of x comma y. Similarly, there will be a summation over y, yeah, summation over y into summation over x pxy of x comma y. Yeah, and is that clear up till here? And what is this quantity? What is this quantity here?
Px.
It is just px. Yeah, and this is summation over y, y times py of y, and what is this? Is that clear? Yeah, I mean, any questions at any step?
So last step, can you explain? Means
This step to this step.
no, sir. The above step to that step. Yeah.
This step to this step.
Yes, sir.
So what is this quantity? This is the joint distribution and summing up over y. So what is that? It is the marginal distribution.
Okay, sir.
And this is the joint distribution summed up over x. That is the marginal on y. Yeah. Same thing that we did yesterday, last time.
Okay.
You take the joint distribution, sum up along the other random variable, you will get the marginal in the other random variable.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Yeah, so this is the reason why this thing works. Yeah, but if you try it for variance, do you think it will work? Yeah, so this is a homework for you. Yeah, try doing variance of x plus y. Yeah, and see what comes out of it. Yeah, and it's an interesting exercise. Okay, some interesting things will come, but you will find that if x is independent of y, then variance of x plus y will become variance of x plus variance of y. Okay. So expectation just goes inside the summation. No matter what random variable, you don't even care what the random variable is. Okay, it just goes inside the summation. But if you want the variance to go into the summation, you need them to be independent. Okay, otherwise variance will not go. Yeah. So there's actually an extension of it also, which yeah, later. So yeah, so there's something called pairwise independence and everything. So I will give an exercise about it later. But yeah, right now you can try to do this as homework. Okay, it's a very similar method. Okay, and if you see that, okay, some things cancel out when things are independent. Yeah, and then things will nicely factor like this. Okay, so yeah, so you can take any linear combinations of random variable and the expectation would just go in. Okay. So just a second. Yeah. So we already saw this last time. Yeah, we already saw this last time. This is just what I said. Yeah, but I suggest that you try it yourself. It's the same method as expectation. Just do that kind of calculation. You will get this. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so now let's come back to one problem that we looked at earlier, which was getting very complicated. We want to find the expected value of a binomial random variable. We want to find the expected value of a binomial random variable. What is a binomial random variable? What are the parameters of a binomial distribution?
N comma P.
There is N and P. N is the number of times you are tossing the coin. P is the probability of heads. Okay, this is the picture you should have. Yeah, and we wanted to compute the expected value of the random variable. Okay. Now this linearity of and we looked at the formula. It was getting very complicated, and somebody suggested, okay, we do some derivatives and add things and everything. It was very complicated. There was no way we could figure out other than going through some complicated thing. But if you know linearity of expectation, it becomes extremely, extremely simple. Okay. So what you do is you will define smaller random variables. Okay, so xi is whether the ith coin came up heads. Okay, so xi is whether the ith coin came up heads. Now, if you look at the random variable x, yeah, which is the number of heads, isn't it equal to x1 plus x2 plus up to xn? You agree?
Yes, sir.
The number of heads is the number of times head showed up. If the first coin head showed up, then only x1 equal to 1. Yeah, the number if second is head only, then only the second xi is equal to 1. So xi are binary random variables. Okay, so this kind of binary random variables are called Bernoulli. Bernoulli trial, people call it. Okay, my spelling of Bernoulli might be wrong. Okay, so this coin toss is typically called a Bernoulli trial in probability. Okay, and a binomial is nothing but a sum of Bernoulli random variables, sum of independent Bernoulli random variables. Okay. Sum of independent Bernoulli. Yeah. And now you can compute the expected value of x. How do you do it? So first of all, what is the expected value of xi? Yeah, what is the expected value of xi?
I into NCI t to the power I1
I into NCI. What is xi? What is the random variable xi?
The probability of getting I success.
No.
Number of
xi
success in
is
ith
whether
P.
the ith coin became heads.
P.
Yes,
Half.
right. Number
sir.
of events in which success will occur is I.
No. You need to be extremely clear about what you are saying. Okay, otherwise you will just get confused. We are tossing n coins. If the first coin turned heads, then x1 is 1. If the first coin turns tails, x1 is 0. Similarly, if the second coin turned heads, x2 is 1. If the second coin turned tails, x2 is 0. So xi is whether the ith coin turned heads. Yeah. If it turned tails, it is 0. That is what xi is. Yeah, if you don't think about it at that clarity, then you will get confused. So now could you tell me how xi you can compute this?
Sir, P.
So why is it P?
Sir, 1 into P plus 0 into 1 minus P.
Is there anybody who doesn't understand that? Yeah. So it is just about the ith coin. Ith coin, if it turned hertz, then it is 1. Probability of turning hertz is P. Yeah, if you have a question, please speak out. Yeah, so the ith coin probability of being hertz is P. Yeah, if it is hertz, the value of the random variable is 1. If it is not hertz, that is tails, that is 1 minus P is the probability, then the value of the random variable is 0. So this is equal to P. Yeah. And we already said that x is summation of xi's. So expected value of x is expected value of summation over I equal to 1 to n xi. Linearity of expectation tells you that it is summation of I equal to 1 to n expected value of xi. And what is this quantity?
P plus P plus P n times.
P plus P plus P n times. This is just n into P. Yeah. And this is what we wanted to prove a couple of lectures back. And it was a very complicated formula. We couldn't make heads and tails out of it. Yeah. So linearity of expectation is a very, very powerful tool. Okay. And sometimes if you don't use it, there's no other way to solve certain problems other than to use this. If you try to work out from first principles, you will not get the answer. Yeah. We saw it even for the simplest case of binomial distribution. Computing the expected value was so complicated if you just go by first principles. Yeah, and you need to use this kind of tricks to get in such kind of situations. Okay. So what about variance of xi? What do you think the variance of xi is? Yeah, so how do you compute the variance of xi? Yeah. So it is basically the probability of this is summation over. So it is what is the formula for variance? It is expected value of xi. Yeah, could you tell me what the formula is?
Expected value of x1 xi square minus expected value of xi whole square.
Yeah, this is the formula. Yeah. So let's substitute it. What is expected value of xi squared? What is the random variable xi squared? What do you think the random variable xi squared is?
Same, sir.
Xi squared is actually equal to xi.
Yes.
Why is that?
Yes, sir. Because
Square of
1
1 is
square equal 1.
It only takes 0 and 1 values. And if you square them also, it is the same. Yeah. So xi squared is nothing but xi only. And we already know the value of that. That is p. Minus expected value of xi the whole square. That is p squared. That is p into 1 minus p. Yeah. So what is the variance of x? Assuming you know this.
N times P 1
N
minus
times P into 1.
Yeah. So the thing is, you will see lot of binomial random variables, and each time you are not going to work out all these formulas. So what I suggest is you remember this by heart. This formula, this formula, this formula, this formula. Okay. So somewhere you see a binomial random variable. We don't need to sit and calculate the variance or expectation or anything. You know there's a formula for it. You just need to plug in n and p. You will get the answer. Okay. So if somebody asks you binomial random variable, what the variance? Don't sit and calculate. You know the formula.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So can you please tell me again variance of xi?
Okay. So what is the definition of variance of xi?
It tells me the distance between the expected value of xi and the actual value of xi.
Yes, yes, that is the intuition of what that is. But there's a formula also for it. Yeah.
Yes,
The
sir. So the
formula of
formula.
variance is expected value of x squared minus expected value of x the whole squared. This is the formula. Yeah, and we derived this formula last class. Okay, you can go back and rewind the video. Okay, of last class, and we actually derived this formula in class. Okay, so this formula you should remember. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then I just substituted the values, that's all. I just used the formula, substituted the values.
So how come expected value of xi square is equal to expected value of xi? That is my question.
So what is xi? What are the values xi takes?
Either 1 or 0.
So if you square them, what happens?
Okay, 1 or 0.
If you square 0, what happens? You'll get 0.
Yes,
If you square 1, what happens?
we get 1.
Yeah, so the random variable is not changing.
Okay.
That's why xi squared is same as xi only.
Achha, so you're doing it this. Okay. Fine, sir.
Yeah. You can work out from the first principles, and essentially by the same logic you will get it. Okay, you can just apply definitions if you are confused. And okay, fine. Let's move on. Okay, I want to solve one or two problems before we leave today. Yeah. So yeah, this is called the hat problem. Yeah. So there are n people. They throw their hats into a box. Okay, so all of us, let's say, have a hat and we throw it in a box. Okay, and then everybody goes back and picks one. Yeah. Yeah, so everybody knows their hat. Okay, everybody has their name written on the hat, but they are not seeing the name when they pick it. It's put in some box and they just put their hand in and just take out the hat. Okay. Now, X is the number of people who gets their own hat. Yeah, is the random variable clear? Is the problem clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Everybody throws their hat in the box, then they just mix it together and the people pick it out. And X is the number of people who got their hat back. If I get, so we want to find the expected value of X. Okay, now how do you go about this problem? So you want to find the expected value of X. Okay, so then we will think, okay, what is the probability mass function of X? Can we find the probability mass function of X? So if we know the probability mass function of X, this is just like summation over X. Yeah, the number of hats could be from 0 to n. Yeah, it is Px of X times X. Yeah, and we just apply this formula and compute this. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what is the probability mass function of X? What is the probability that, let's say, I mean, no person gets their hat back? So let's compute the probability of X equal to 0. How do you compute that? What is the probability that nobody gets their hat back?
So for each person, there will be n minus 1 hats that he or she can pick. So
Okay, so
n minus 1 into n.
no. First, the way to go about it, there's a denominator, there's a numerator. What is the denominator?
The sample spaces, everyone gets their own hat.
So what is the sample space? This is a set of all possibilities.
Yeah.
So total
N
8 is the size of the sample space.
What is the size of sample space? Sorry?
8, 2 cube. Means
2
here
cube.
n. So,
How did you
so
get
2 to
2
the power
cube?
n. So 2 to the power n here. You n people are there.
Okay.
I
What is
think
the set of all possibilities? Yeah.
so. Minimum one person will get their own head, then 2 people, 3 people, like this maximum n people can get their own head.
So
in
yeah,
this
let's
way.
draw a picture, right? So let's say this is the initial n people. Yeah, this is 1, 2, 3 up to n. Yeah. So then there is 1, 2, 3 up to n. Yeah. So let's say
Yes.
these are the hats. Yeah. And these are the people. Okay. So 1 means the person one's hat. Yeah. 2 means the person two's hat. Yeah. And like this. And what is the sample space? It is a match the following. Match the following where, I mean, yeah, every node has only one edge. Exactly one edge. Yeah. And how many match the followings are there here?
N.
N factorial.
So it is n factorial. It is the number of permutations of n. What is this? This is the number of ways of writing 1 to n in a sequence. Yeah. So the number of possibilities
Yes,
is
sir.
set of all such match the followings, and that is n factorial. Yeah. And what is the numerator? So how many match the followings has the numerator? Should we count in the numerator?
Only one.
Only one. Probability at x equal to 0. That is, nobody gets their own hat.
Sir, n minus 1 factorial.
How did you get n minus 1 factorial?
So because like if the one is selecting, then it has n minus 1 choices because he cannot select his
So
own hat.
this fellow can get cannot choose one. It has to be n minus 1 things. Okay. We gave him one from the n minus 1 other things. Okay. Then what should we do? So this guy I have to give some hat.
Yes, suppose that it has taken 2. Or
You can solve it by taking the complement method. Like if we assign the person his own head, then we will have n minus 1 factorial ways of doing that. And if we
Okay, so
subtract
you are
1 from
saying
it,
we'll find the probability of x greater than 0 first, and then you do 1 minus, is it?
yes, sir.
Okay, so what is the probability of x greater than 0?
Like for the first person, we can assign him his own head, and that can be done in n minus 1 factorial ways.
Okay.
And,
we have to use inclusion exclusion and then nc2 n minus 2 factorial plus with alternate signs.
Okay, yeah, inclusion, exclusion, and everything comes in. So yeah, in the first chapter, I posted one question on Bonferroni inequalities in the discussion forum. Nobody really attempted it. Yeah, so if you had made an attempt there, these things would have been very clear. Yeah. So yeah, you need something called inclusion exclusion, which is nothing but your old Venn diagram set theory only. There's nothing new there actually. But yeah, it is something that you should understand. Yeah. So let's try to solve this problem in a slightly simpler way. Okay. As you see, finding out x equal to 0 is very hard. It doesn't seem to be easy. Okay. So let's try to solve this problem slightly differently in a simple way. Then we will look at the hard cases. Okay. So we can decompose this random variable x into smaller random variables. Okay. Remember, how did we do binomial distribution? We decompose the complicated random variable x into some of some simple random variables. Yeah, and here also we can do the same. Xi is the random variable which says that the ith person gets his own hat. Yeah, and what is the probability of xi equal to 1?
1 over n minus I plus 1.
How did you get that?
So for the first person, there are n heads, so only one head is its own, so it will be 1 over n. Then for the second person,
so 1 over n. So do you think xi is change with I, the value of xi, the distribution
no.
of xi change with I?
No, it will not change.
So the probability of xi equal to 1 is nothing but 1 by n.
1 by n, yes.
And there is n heads to be chosen. What's the probability that I get 1 head? There is only one option among n.
Yes, 1 by n.
1 by n. Yeah. And this is 1 minus 1 by n. Yeah.
Yes.
Are the random variables x are they independent?
No, sir.
So you need to show why it is no. Okay. Yeah.
Because it depends upon the choice of others also.
Yeah. Okay. So but yeah, it depends upon choices of others also. But if you want to show it something is not independent, you need to give a specific x and specific y, where so maybe x1 equal to x and x2 equal to something, such that that factorization doesn't happen. Okay. But intuitively there is something. So yeah. So everybody agrees that x is a sum of x1 to xn.
Yes, sir.
So now we already found out. So what is the expected value of xi? Expected value of xi. We already had a formula.
So 1 by n.
It's a Bernoulli trial. No, each random xi is a Bernoulli trial. It's a 0-1 random variable. We already computed the expected value of a Bernoulli trial, and it was 1 by n. Yeah. Yeah. So now what is the expected value of x?
So n by n.
Yeah, so it is n times 1 by n, which is 1. So on an average, only one person is going to get his hat back. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, when you work with random variables, you try to decompose a complex random variable into sum or product of simple random variables. Yeah. So in the earlier initial situation, like where we had sample space and all, when we had a complex event, yeah, we want to compute the probability of it. We said, okay, we will decompose it into some disjoint events or intersection of things, yeah, or some conditionals and everything, and compute the probability of it. So there is one problem in the problem section 1. on relationship between friends and what are the possible relationship under some condition. Okay, again, nobody attended it. Yeah, you should really attend it. If you try to solve that problem, you will really understand okay, how these things work out. Okay, how to divide a complex problem into simple subproblems and solve it. Yeah, and if you think hard about it, try to do it. Yeah, you learn a lot. Okay, so here also the same principle. Okay, divide and conquer. Okay, that is our main principle in computer science. You have a complicated thing, you divide it into simple subproblems. So you had a complicated random variable x, you divide it into simple random variables xi's. Yeah, xi's are not independent, but still linearity of expectation works. Linearity of expectation always works. Yeah, even if things are dependent. So we just used that and found the answer in a single line. Yeah.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
So even if the xi's are independent, how can we say that every xi has expectation? I mean, how is the probability 1 by n for every xi equal to 1?
So you are saying so for x2 it is not 1 by x1 it is 1 by n?
Yes.
So for x2 it is not 1 by n.
I mean, it should be dependent on the first.
So what is the probability of x2 equal to 1? Let's work it out. Yeah, so everybody agrees what the distribution is. There is n hats, it's basically all the match the followings are equally likely, all the permutations are equally likely. Yeah, that is the distribution. And what is the probability of x2 equal to 1? Yeah, there's a numerator and the denominator. Denominator is n factorial, that we agreed. Yeah, is
Yes,
that
sir.
fine?
Yes,
What
sir.
is the numerator? The second guy, he got his hat back.
Yes, sir.
So how many permutations are there where x2 equal to, I mean, yeah, where the match, this equal to this? How many permutations are there?
Okay, n minus 1 factorial.
And it didn't depend upon which guy or anything like that. I could say this for any person.
Okay.
Okay, so things are symmetric here. That's what you need to understand. No person is having any speciality. So if you compute the xi for one person, it is the same for the other person also. Nobody is having any special preference here, right?
Yes, sir.
There are n persons. The sample space doesn't give any preference to any person. Everything is symmetrically defined. So how can that probability of one guy can be greater than probability of another guy? Nothing can not happen. Yeah.
Sir.
So yeah, these symmetry arguments also, yeah, sometimes the common sense of symmetry arguments also matters. Symmetry means the way you define the probability distribution, nobody is preferred. Everybody is treated equally.
Sir, it
Yeah,
cannot be
okay.
symmetric if the person are taking the heads back in some order.
Okay, do you think so? So let's say you take a random permutation, random ordering of 1 to n. Yeah, and we are looking at where the ith position is equal to I. Yeah, think about it.
Sir, I'm saying that there are n hats and n persons are going to take their.
Yeah, so we need to close the lecture actually now. Okay, yeah, think about it. Like if you take a random permutation and look at the events where the ith position there is the number I sitting. Yeah, does that change with the value of y? Yeah, so you need to spend some time thinking about it. Then only you will figure out. Okay, and you'll figure out that no, it doesn't really matter. Okay, yeah, that's what we also proved here. That's what we proved here. It didn't depend upon x2 or x1 or anything like that. We worked out in from first principles. Okay, so yeah, so we did that. Okay, so we did this hat problem. So since we are planning to have a deep quiz on this entire thing, and we in this lecture actually we finished one one section of the course. So let's have a long tutorial tomorrow. Yeah. So I will also try to be present tomorrow evening for the tutorial. Okay. So we'll work out a lot more problems so that you are comfortable with this. Okay. Yeah, that's all for today. Yeah. If there's a one quick questions I can take, but yeah.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, in that question, with that probability of that everyone getting their not getting their own hat. Why to like 1 minus probability of everyone get their own hat?
So what are you computing? What is the probability you're computing?
Ki everyone is not getting their own hat at x equal to 0.
Everyone is not getting, so we want to compute this, yes.
So that will be simple, like 1 minus p of everyone getting their own hat, no?
Why is that? I didn't follow.
Sir, that probability of x equals to 0 is that only, no? Ki everyone is not getting their own hat.
Probability of nobody getting their own hat is 1 minus the probability of everybody getting their own hat.
No, that is at least.
At least one.
No, sir.
Yeah, these things are tricky. See an example with 2% and 2 or 3%. Okay, and see if your statement is true. Yeah, the negation of for all is there exist. Okay, negation of for all is there exist. Okay, just keep that in mind. Yeah, we'll go over have a long tutorial session tomorrow evening. Okay, and we'll have a deep quiz on Friday. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.